Thursday, February 6, 2019. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Mr. Reddick. Councilman Sreggi.
Present.
Councilman Livingston.
Present.
Councilwoman McBride.
Present.
Councilman Taylor.
Present.
Councilman Patrick.
Present.
Councilman Monson.
Present.
And President Scalis. Present. That's all seven here. Okay. As for approval of minutes from January 23rd business meeting, Councilman Sreggi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand and ask for approval of the business meeting minutes from January 23rd, 2019.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's go on to the public hearing. Mr. Rogers, please. Tonight we have a public hearing for introductory ordinance 19-16, and that's the 2019 bylaw. I do public comment in the audience. Okay, I'm sorry, open the public hearing? Okay. We'll open a public hearing, please. Anybody wishing to speak? Seeing none? Okay, I have public comment, please. Closing the public hearing. Thank you. Okay, now on the public comment. Please come state your name if you wish to speak.
Sergeant Delegate, you still do the 1 minute warning,
Yep.
right?
I figure out now.
You still do the 1 minute warning?
Yes.
I'm going to read a statement that I issued to the media earlier this week, titled "How I Found Out That Mayor Rich David Quietly Cut His Property Tax Bill by 27%. A city employee and former colleague of mine reached out to me last July with concerns about possible unethical conduct from within City Hall and encouraged me to review Mayor David's property assessments. I didn't think much of it since the newspaper had explored Mayor David's potential conflicts of interest back in 2017, including a full review of the assessments of all of his properties, which found no changes. However, when I reviewed the data made available online by Broome County, I was shocked to learn that the assessment of Mayor David's primary residence downtown, a mixed-use building with 2 commercial tenants on the first floor, was reduced significantly from 2017 to 2018, from $179,000 to $131,300. The lower assessment effectively reduces the mayor's property tax bill by 27%. I recognize that every property owner has the right and opportunity to grieve their assessment consistent with state laws. However, based on my extensive research, which included FOIL requests, so information from the city, talking with others with experience with assessment laws in New York State, conversations with state officials, and even a member of the Board of Assessment Review, it's clear that Mayor David chose the least transparent way to do it. He quietly negotiated the assessment reduction behind closed doors with the city assessor under suspect circumstances. First, I don't think there's a single person in all Broome County who believes properties in downtown Binghamton are losing value. In fact, Mayor David knows this better than anyone. Mayor David pocketed a windfall from selling his other property directly across the street, the old Family Dollar building. He bought it in December 2010 for $655,000 and sold it for $1.23 million 7 years later, which raises the question: if Mayor David's property on one side of the street doubles in value, how is it that his other property right across the street lost almost 30% in value? Second, one has to wonder if there was some quid pro quo here. The city assessor is appointed by the mayor for a 6-year term. The current assessor's term will come up for reappointment this September. Whatever happened, the fact of the matter is that the city mayor benefits from a 27% cut in his property tax bill, and that raises a number of questions about how it was done and why. I encourage the city council, on behalf of all the responsible taxpayers in the city, to commit to a bipartisan and transparent review of this incident, determine if any laws were broken by the mayor or the assessor, and open up a more substantive community dialogue about the broken assessment system in our city. Finally, I understand there will be some who question my motive, and will try to politicize my public statement in order to distract our focus away from Mayor David's potential abuse of power for his own financial gain. I'm fine with that. City Hall staff have brought this to my attention because they know I believe in honest government, service with purpose and integrity, and holding those in power accountable. If my statement today makes me the target of partisan attacks and insults, then I know I'm doing right by my values and my love for this community. I trust the public to decide who is truly working in their interests. I published the full story of this investigation online. It's available at binghamtonbridge.org. There are pictures and supporting documentation of everything that I stated in this statement and in that article. There are many questions that this incident raises. First off, though, I can tell you quite clearly, if I was mayor, I would never conduct in any conduct that would present even a perceived conflict of interest. The mayor says he wants to be treated like everyone, but you know, public officials are held to a different standard. We're held to a higher standard. And there are times when we have to sometimes sacrifice self-interest to maintain the integrity of our service and the integrity of our systems to the benefit of our community. Why didn't the mayor take the most transparent approach? Fill out the form and go before the Board of Assessment review? Why didn't the assessor, to protect the integrity of his office, encourage the mayor to do that? Why did the FOIL that I requested not have the mayor's case on it when all other cases were listed? I truly hope that the rhetoric about bipartisanship during election year wasn't just fluff. And it's going to be incumbent on all of you sitting here to make that commitment real. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? I thought she was going to go. Okay.
Oh, no, if you would like to go, please.
Okay. Okay. I'd like to take a motion to suspend the rules to allow Mr. Snyder to speak in the city of Binghamton point.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President and members of the council. I really do appreciate you taking these few minutes to hear what I have to say.
Excuse
I
me,
just, sir,
can you state your name and position for the city?
my name is Scott Snyder. I am the assessor for the city of Binghamton. Did you need my address?
No.
No. I have been the assessor for the city of Binghamton since January of 2008. I was appointed by the previous administration, of which the author of the article was a ranking member. I was also reappointed by that administration. I understand and hear his statements as far as limited as they are. There is a process. He neglected to differentiate the terms of that process. Everybody, since I've started here and before, has been afforded the opportunity of individual informal review, regardless of their status. I have never held anybody to any type of status to be reviewed. I was asked to review informally this particular property along with, I reviewed several hundred, and all of the individual informal reviews were documented on a sheet noted as an assessment complaint. Notes were put on them. It's an informal document, as the process dictates. We have several hundred issues that we look at for the May 1st tentative rule. Allowing the property owners this process, I believe, is a very integral part of customer service to the property owners of this city. I have no shame in it. I'm happy to do it. When that process is completed, they are sent change of assessment notices, which were provided. The property in question was on that document. Individuals at that time had the opportunity to pursue the formal grievance process, which does require fully filling out of forms, going to the Board of Assessment Review, and having that body render a decision. I have had the same process for years. I don't understand the author's confusion in this, because during my time in that administration, we had countless meetings, staff meetings, procedural meetings. Everybody knows what my process is. I have never spoken with the mayor concerning my appointment. Yesterday was the first time that this was ever brought up. The conditions of my appointment have never been discussed. And as yet, my determination of the status of that appointment is my own. It is nobody else's. I have no reason to not provide any information that I have been asked. The author talks about due diligence. Not once ever was I approached. Friends came in, whatever. There was a foil, responded openly to. If anybody has a question, I have always been free to answer it. Everybody here knows that. I do take exception to an allegation of misconduct. There in no way, shape, or form has been any type of behind-the-door negotiation to arrive at some gain. I have gained quite a lot here, and I will continue to do so. It is just my personal desire to be here and state these facts. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish you to speak? Please come forward.
Greetings, can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Tina Chronopoulos, and I am a resident in the city. I wish to address the City Council on a matter that concerns the Mayor of Binghamton, Rich David, and one of his downtown properties. As you've already heard from the previous two speakers, it appears that Mayor David's property at 45 Court Street, a mixed-use property, saw a reduction in its tax assessment from $179,000 in 2017 to $131,300 in 2018. That is a drop of almost 30%, a significant drop in my view. I just did the math. I think it's a little over $45,000. As you know, and as I know from personal experience, having actually gone through the process, A property owner can have the tax assessment on their property reduced in two ways. When I did this for my property, I phoned the assessor's office, I think it was about 6 years ago, to ask how this could be done. I was told that I needed to fill out form RP 524 and that I would need to file it and would go before a board of assessment. I was not told that there was an informal process that would help me to do this. So, as you know, two ways of doing it. Filling out the form, going before the Board of Assessment review. And the other way is you can obtain a stipulation by negotiating with the assessor and forfeiting your rights of going before the Board of Assessment. In either case, however, you need to fill out form RP 524 and you need to sign it as the property owner. As you've heard, the Board of Assessment Review did not receive a grievance application from Mayor Rich pertaining to the property at 45 Court Street. A listing of all grievances lodged with the board, obtained under a Freedom of Information law, does not show an application from Rich David for any of the years 2016, 17, or 18. It is likely then, given that there are two ways of doing this, that Rich David opted to negotiate for a stipulation. An examination of paperwork pertaining to the property at 45 Court Street kept at the assessor's office shows that the required form RP 524 has not been filled out or signed. Instead, what appears to be in the folder is a document titled Assessment Complaint with a stamp that indicates it was received on the 22nd of March 2018. It is a single sheet with little information and seems to have been filled out by the assessor and signed by the mayor. I don't know if you're familiar with RP 524, but that is a long form and that requires a lot of detail. As a tax-paying and law-abiding resident of this city, I am not a little concerned at what appears to be a backroom deal to lower the mayor's property taxes by a lot of money. When I grievanced my property, I think the value was reduced by a couple of $1,000s, and I don't live downtown. I would like to ask the council to investigate why the correct paperwork was not filled out, since, as it currently stands, the assessment complaint does not comply with local law. I would also like the council to begin a review, transparent and bipartisan, of the mayor's and the assessor's actions. And I would like this, as I believe it is, to be on the record. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Let's go forward. See none, we'll close the public comment section. And on to the second reading of legislation. Reconsider introductory ordinance 19-12, adopted permanent ordinance 19-12, considered finance. Councilor Papster.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for unanimous approval for a motion to reconsider permanent ordinance 019-12.
Second.
This is a motion to reconsider. I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
So, motion to amend permanent ordinance 019-12 to correct the budget line description as follows. Budget line A3120.51012, which is school guards, to A3120.51012, detective on-call pay.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please, Mr. President.
Councilman Scranton.
Aye.
Councilman Livingston.
Aye.
Councilwoman Brown.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
Councilman Babstratt.
Aye.
Councilman Mazza. Aye. And President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Thank you. Okay, not preferred agenda? Okay. We have to approve the motion by Councilman Papstrat.
Number 3.
A motion to approve permanent ordinance 019-12 as amended.
Second.
Roll call, please, Mr. Rogers.
Councilman Scranton.
Aye.
Councilman Livingston.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cross.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
Councilman Babstraff.
Aye.
Councilman Monto. Aye. And President Scanlon.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, now to the non-preferred agenda. Introductory ordinance 19-15, considered finance, Councilman Papster. Remember, just have to read the title of the
Yes,
ordinance.
thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for unanimous approval of introductory ordinance 019-15.
Second.
This is an ordinance amending the code of the City of Binghamton, section 5-7G investment policy, designation of depositories to add night flights.
Thank you, Councilman. Need a roll call? Anybody wishing to comment or questions on this?
Call the question.
Questions been called?
Councilman Scranton.
Aye.
Councilman Livingston.
Nay.
Councilwoman Cross.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
Councilman Babstraff.
Aye.
Councilman Monto. Aye. And President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 6 ayes, 1 nay, Livingston.
Introductory ordinance 19-16, considered finance, Councilman Papster.
Sorry, question.
Introductory ordinance 19-16.
You have to do this thing first.
So you just read the title first.
The title amazingly is called 2019 Bond Ordinance.
Yes. The title is just read the title for the city. Bond ordinance of the City of Binghamton, New York. A motion to declare City Council as lead agency under secret.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You have to read
Motion to identify the proposed action as a type 2 action and to issue a negative declaration for the unlisted action for the following reasons. This is an ordinance to authorize the issuance of $8,584,300 serial bonds to finance 2019 capital projects. Projects are for interior city hall renovations, replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of existing structures or facilities, including a traffic signal, water and sewer connections, repaving of existing highways not involving the addition of new travel lanes, street openings and right-of-way openings for the purpose of repair or maintenance of existing utility facilities, various equipment needs, and demolition of a pedestrian bridge, which is an unlisted action. Most of the projects are a type 2 action based on 617.5 type 2C 1 maintenance or repair involving no substantial changes in an existing structure or facility, replacement, rehabilitation, or reconstruction of a structure or facility in kind on the same site, including upgrading buildings to meet building or fire codes, unless such action meets or exceeds any of the thresholds in section 617.4 of this part. 4. Repaving of existing highways not involving the addition of new travel lanes, street openings and right-of-way openings for the purpose of repair or maintenance of existing utility facilities, extension of utility distribution facilities, including gas, electric, telephone, cable, water, and store connections to render service in approved subdivisions or in connection with any action on this list, and minor temporary uses of land having negligible or no permanent impact on the environment, and no further environmental review is necessary. Demolition of a pedestrian bridge is a non-listed action. The bridge connects a public parking structure to a private office building. However, the bridge has not been in use for at least a decade, the city engineer has determined that it is no longer functional and should be removed. There is no negative impact, and demolition should improve the visual impacts and safety in the surrounding area. It should also be noted that the traffic signal was considered as part of the site plan review for development of 7 Holly Street, and a negative declaration was issued for that part.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Councilman Scringy.
Aye.
Councilman Livingston.
Aye.
Councilwoman Kranz.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor. Aye. Councilman Babstrack.
Aye.
Councilman Mazza.
Aye.
And President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Now, introductory ordinance 19-12, considered in planning, Councilman Monson.
19-17.
Okay. All right, sorry.
President, can you introduce the bond? We just approved the secret, and we need to approve the actual legislation.
Introduce it or actually? Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask unanimous consideration of introductory ordinance 019-16. This is the bond ordinance of the City of Binghamton, New York, adopted February 6, 2019, authorizing various capital improvements in and for the city, stating the estimated maximum cost thereof is $8,584,300, appropriating said amount for such purpose and authorizing the issuance of bonds for the city in the principal amount of not to exceed $8,584,300 to finance said appropriation.
Roll call, please, Mr. Rogers.
Call the question.
Question's been called. Roll call, please.
Councilman Scringy.
Aye.
Councilman Livingston.
Aye.
Councilwoman Kranz.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor. Aye. Councilman Babstrack.
Aye.
Councilman Mazza.
Aye.
And President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Now, introductory ordinance 19-17, considered in planning, Councilman Monson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand and ask for unanimous consideration on ordinance 1917.
Second.
An ordinance authorizing the sale of 7 city-owned parcels to Family Enrichment Network, Inc., for construction of a supportive homeless housing project. Thank you.
Comments or questions on this, please?
Mr. President?
Yes, Councilman Taylor.
Thank you. I'd like to thank and congratulate the Family Enrichment Network on this original project award of more than $4 million, and now, of course, throw my ecstatic support behind the sale of these properties that are clustered perfectly on the north side of Binghamton for an exciting new multi-unit dwelling project. A major investment into the north side, certainly, but more important than that, providing a very, very, very important service to residents of the city. You know, the city can always do more when it comes to helping folks that are homeless, you know, get out of homelessness and give them and support giving them a place to live, but also a place to thrive, a place to grow. And the Northside community is certainly becoming a community where that has happened for more and more people every single year. This type of investment is unprecedented in this part of the neighborhood, so it's very, very, very exciting to see that. What's also exciting to see, you know, a new property come to a neighborhood, a new construction, is that there were lighted buildings there before. You know, some pretty disgusting ones, in fact. Most likely ones that were actually the home for homeless folks in the neighborhood. So it's actually quite exciting to see these old, dilapidated buildings that weren't fit for, you know, rodents to live in, now being turned into really exciting new project on the north side of Binghamton. You know, my number one concern here is just that we need to make sure that the project is in constant communication with the neighbors, with the folks at the Lee Barta Community Center just down the street. It's important that we provide advocacy to the residents that are already there and ensure that integration into the neighborhood is key. That, you know, this is becomes a home where people can grow, become part of the community, and contribute to the community. And as leaders here in the city, we can certainly play an important role in doing that. So I hope everyone votes in favor of this. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councilwoman Kranz.
Sorry. Look at me.
Ladies before gentlemen.
Well, thank you. I just want to say that this is super awesome. This is something that families need. In our homeless shelters, they can't take in large families, and there's no large family housing units for homeless people at all. So this is awesome. Kudos to Binghamton. This is something that I've personally been pushing, especially with having the smaller housing units. This is very, very important, and I know I keep saying it, and I will keep saying it. Our families need to have real houses to live in and not just huge blocks of, you know, apartment sizes where they're all just pushed together and nobody's allowed to grow. In order for people to integrate into the community, they need to feel like they're part of the community, which means that they need to be able to have the same things that we have, the same quality of life that we all want. Everybody deserves that. So I'm just very glad to push this, and thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Papstreet.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd also like to comment on how great I think this is for the city. I'm not in favor of large developments of affordable housing. I think they're counteracting sometimes to what you're really trying to do. But when you have smaller units, and what we've done on Granville Street, for instance, on Front Street, where you take an old single-family, 2 and 3 and 4 family homes and turn them into affordable, good housing for families that can thrive in that type of environment, rather than putting dozens and dozens of families in one building. It's always been proven to be detrimental. So I think the approach that the city, that the mayor especially has taken since he's taken office, is to rebuild a lot of these neighborhoods. Not just one house, but multiple houses in a row. And this particular one with some homeless and larger families, I think it'll give them stability. It'll give the neighborhood stability, hopefully. A lot of times what you want to see from other landlords that might be in that neighborhood, that they'll use this as a catalyst to possibly improve their homes. But the problem is no one has the kind of money that the government has to make the improvements that the government can spend $4 million on a housing unit like this, where the landlord just looks at that and says, you know, I just can't do it. But if they can make some steps to improve their properties, I think that'll go a long way. One of the things I see in our city, and I'm sure it's common throughout, is that the kids that are in school, especially in elementary school and on up, but especially elementary school, where I remember having kindergarten through 6th grade and knowing all my classmates when I got out of 6th grade. A lot of us went to junior high together, but we had a group of friends we were together all those years. You don't have that anymore. Sometimes kids that start out in kindergarten, 1st grade, 3rd grade, 2nd grade, they're going through and they'll switch schools 4, 5, maybe 6 times. So they never have that stability of having friendships developed at that age, where I think it's so important. So if we get this housing situation straightened out and families become a little more integrated into the neighborhoods, I hope that we can have the stability where kids can go to school and make some lifelong friends, rather than having to be uprooted and moved every class or every other class. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Questions be called? Roll call, please, Mr. Rogers.
Councilman Scricci.
Aye.
Councilman Livingston.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cronus.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
Councilman Pastrana.
Aye.
Councilman Mazza.
Aye.
And President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Now, on the introductory ordinance 19-18, considered in its employees, Councilman Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for unanimous approval of introductory ordinance 019-18.
Second.
This is an ordinance amending the 2019 maintenance of roads budget to defund senior street maintainer and add an additional motor equipment operator.
Questions or comments? Councilman Scricci?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is something that, this is a piece of legislation rather that has been very multiple times that we've done. Kudos to the DPW department and our acting commissioner, Bernice St. Clair, for proactively doing this for our residents that are watching at home. Essentially what we're doing here is essentially using timeline management. We're looking to see what positions we need at particular times, different seasons and different things. Right, so by defunding one position and allocating a fewer level of funds for another, we're actually taking almost $1,000 and actually bringing it back to contingency. So not only are we being proactive, but we're actually getting back some city taxpayer money. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Questions been called? Roll call, please.
Councilman Scricci.
Aye.
Councilman Livingston.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cronus.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
Councilman Pastrana.
Aye.
Councilman Mazza.
Aye.
And President Scanlon.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Now, the introductory ordinance 19-19, considered finance, Councilman Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for unanimous approval of introductory ordinance 019-19.
Second.
And this is an ordinance amending the 2018 sewer budget to increase the electricity budget line.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Call the question.
Questions been called? Roll call, please.
Councilman Scricci.
Aye.
Councilman Livingston.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cronus.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
Councilman Pastrana.
Aye.
Councilman Mazza.
Aye.
And President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Now to introductory ordinance 19-20, considered finance, Councilman Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's an introductory ordinance 019-20. I'd like to ask for unanimous approval.
Second.
This is an ordinance authorizing the cancellation of the 2003 City of Binghamton real property taxes in the amount of $399.46 on 93 Main Street.
Questions or comments? Councilman Scricci.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, for residents and homeowners watching at home, we were actually counted by Broome County regarding this. This actually isn't a transfer of any dollars or any money or any cents at all. Broome County government actually realized with a requisition and a purchase that happened back in 2003 that actually accounting ledgers had to be lined up, so they noticed that we're just realigned. That's it. Thank you.
Any questions or comments?
Call the question.
Questions been called? Roll call, please.
Councilman Scricci.
Aye.
Councilman Livingston.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cronus.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor. Aye. Councilman Pastrana.
Aye.
Councilman Mazza.
Aye.
President Scanlon.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Now to introductory ordinance 19-21, considered finance, Councilman Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for unanimous approval of introductory ordinance 019-21.
Second.
This is an ordinance to amend the 2018 parking ramps budget to increase the management services budget line for December expenses. The increase is from the fund, and it comes to $27,876.
Thank you, Councilman. Questions or comments on this? Councilman Scricci.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, for our residents that are watching at home, this is just, and it's worth noting, we actually have a number of ordinances tonight that begin with Amendment 2018. I think it's worth noting, this is something that every city council, every, not just calendar year, but for our case, fiscal year, always sees this at the beginning of the year, right? We have certain bills, even any small business or private sector firm knows this, in order to officially be able to close out your 2018 books, any outstanding issues from the last month of the fiscal year need to be taken care of. So that's what almost half of them are actually for tonight. So this is pretty standard operating procedure. With regard to this particular piece of legislation, I actually want to give a level of kudos to our management over with our bridges. They've actually had extended hours and have even extended cleaning going into the weekends. So this is again just to make up for that managerial cost difference. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilman, any other questions or comments?
Call the question.
Questions been called, roll call please.
Councilman Scaringi.
Aye.
Councilman Livingston.
Aye.
Councilwoman Krantz.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
Councilman Papstrad.
Aye.
Councilman Monzo.
Aye.
And President Scammell.
Aye.
7 ayes, 0 nays.
Now, to introductory ordinance 19-22, considered finance, Councilman Papstrad.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask for unanimous approval of introductory ordinance 019-22.
Second.
An ordinance to amend the 2018 sewer budget to increase expenditures for gasoline, diesel fuel, and electricity. Again, in-house transfer amounts to $7,292.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this? Councilman Scaringi.
Thank you, Mr. President. For 19-22, again, for residents that are watching at home, we actually had another one that was just passed a few moments ago, dealing with the overtime and sewer budget. For those that know, obviously we've had some pretty erratic, interesting weather this quote-unquote winter, even though the last 2 days haven't felt like that. It felt like April and May. One of the big issues is not only have we had a lot of wet weather, but we've also had incredibly high frequency erratic changes in temperature. And one of the things that we need to ensure is that with regard to water and sewer, that the continuity of that service is continued, i.e. we don't want a pipe bursting. We actually dealt with this in the first district last year on Lee Park, but our great employees got up there and fixed it pretty quickly. So I want to thank them for that, and again, we'll just make sure that that continuity of services continues.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank
Any
you.
questions or comments?
Call the question, Mr. President.
Questions been called, roll call please.
Councilman Scaringi.
Aye.
Councilman Livingston.
Aye.
Councilwoman Krantz.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
Councilman Papstrad.
Aye.
Councilman Monzo.
Aye.
President Scammell.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Now, to introductory ordinance 19-05, considered an MPA, Councilman Scaringi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Stand and ask for unanimous consent for introductory resolution 19-05. Second, a resolution authorizing the mayor to renew agreements with various Bourbon County departments, outside agencies, and municipalities for the Stop DWI program for 2019. This is a grant being accepted by us on behalf of the city of Binghamton in the amount of $21,000 for, again, the Stop DWI Task Force unit for the year 2019. Thank you, Mr. President.
Questions or comments on this?
Call the question.
Questions been called? Roll call please.
Councilman Scaringi.
Aye.
Councilman Livingston.
Aye.
Councilwoman Krantz.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
Councilman Papstrad.
Aye.
Councilman Monzo.
Aye.
And President Scammell.
Aye.
That's 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, now to communications from council members. We'll start with Councilwoman Krantz.
Why, thank you. Well, first I have some exciting news. The Broome County Landlord Association we had some time speaking with the health department about lead abatement issues. A lot of the times we have funding set aside for lead abatement, but it's not enough. As soon as we get the funding, it's gone pretty much before it even gets here. It's kind of like our paycheck, at least for me. So what we did is we spoke to the health department and looked into alternate funding sources. We found that there was funding sources for municipalities to get lead abatement. And thank you, Jared Cram, who's now working on this, so the city of Binghamton can get some municipal funds for low-income neighborhoods, which are high rentals in older neighborhoods, which we know would have lead paint. This keeps our children safe. This helps our landlords, which are business owners. Many of the landlords that own these homes own 1 through 4 homes, which makes them a small business owner. It's protection for our families, our children, and our business owners. So I think that's super awesome. And with that, have a good night.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And Councilman Taylor.
Thank you. I'd like to start by reminding all residents that there is a Northside Assembly meeting tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. at the Septenary Shenango Street Church on Shenango Street on the north side of Binghamton. Entrance from the back. It's our first one of 2019. It should be a really interesting meeting. We got some guests to talk about some stuff. And since we haven't had a meeting in 2019 yet, I'm sure there'll be a lot for me to talk about with the residents. So if you have any questions, please do come by. It's always a very informative discussion. Again, at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. Being the representative of the 4th District means that you're always representing a lot of happenings that are going on, and we must dispel this notion that just because it's winter in Binghamton doesn't mean that there aren't things to do in Binghamton. So get out there. It's Valentine's Day next week. Celebrate someone else or celebrate yourself. There's a comedy show happening next Friday at the DoubleTree. There's tons of stuff to do. Check out all the events calendars that we have in our community. Bing Pop, Binghamton University has one. All the news stations. Just because it's cold out doesn't mean that there's not a ton of stuff to do. So check it out, and thanks everyone.
Thank you, Councilman. And Councilman Pepster.
I'm good tonight, no comment, thank you.
Okay. On to Councilman Watson.
Thank you, Mr. President. On my chair. A couple of things I'd like to thank Bernice St. Clair. She got a hold of me today in regards to Circuit Drive. When the resident did contact the city and the DPW, they have been up there trying to clear the ice, and it's a bad time here. It really is, but they've been up there on almost a daily basis trying to figure out why the ice is coming down through the road. And when I got a hold of her, she explained things to me. It's something that really is going to have to be looked into in the spring when the water finally slows down. We hope if it stops raining in this area, but it hasn't stopped raining since July or snowing, so it may take a little longer than that. But on the other hand, too, they are working on it. They're trying to fix the problem. And I realize the ice and water come from the street and flow down their driveways and stuff. It's just a hard problem to fix. Hopefully they can get engineering in there this year, and maybe the city can fix it and figure it out, and engineering can get the street paved like they were going to try and do last year, but unfortunately paving got halted due to inclement weather last year. I also got a phone call from a Mr. and Mrs. Lewis, I should say, who live in my district. And their car, somebody tried to break into their vehicle and a few other vehicles in the neighborhood. And he asked me to ask the city police if he could see more police presence over on the south side of Binghamton. And I told him I would ask, and announce it out there. And they would like to see more police presence. They would feel safer. Maybe it would deter crime. Maybe it won't. In a lot of cities, it's not. I want to give a special holler out to the state trooper that was injured this past week out in Kirkwood. It's a job that's thankless. It really is. People out there have no respect today for any police officer or anybody. Plus the sheriff, who was hit head on Route 17. We're all giving prayers out to her and her family, and same with the state trooper. One more thing. You come down here, and does anybody say, or do you hear, what a great job our mayor's doing? Or what a great job our city council is doing? Or thank you. You don't hear that. What you hear is everybody coming down and looking for fault in everybody, instead of saying thank you. Because, people do have faults. Mr. Snyder came down. I want to thank him for coming down. I'm sure we'll look into it. I really do. I don't believe Mr. Snyder and the mayor have anything in cahoots. Our mayor has done a great job in the city fixing our infrastructure. Our last administration, what did they pay, 4 miles a year maybe? We're paving 15 miles a year in the city of Binghamton. We're fixing our sewers, our plumbing, our everything in the ground, water. I had a whole street, 26 residents that had no water 2 years ago, and the mayor went up, and we got a thank you letter from them on St. Clair Boulevard, which was actually our DPW's grandfather. That's what the street was named after, Bernice's. So, I mean, the mayor does look out for this stuff, and he's doing a great job. And our DPW, I watched our waterworks department out there when it was below zero, out there working in that below zero weather to at least get them something. And the residents did appreciate it. They really did. So, to get people down here constantly looking for fault in all of us, we're not here for that. I was here to do the best I can do, and that's what I'm doing, and I believe that's what our mayor is doing, and what everybody else on city council is doing the best they can do. One more thing, last year, Councilman Papistran talked about our groundhog, who we had spring around the corner. A week later, we had 2 feet of snow. Our groundhog didn't see a shadow this year. Spring's around the corner. What does that mean? 6 more weeks of winter. That's what it means. So, hopefully we're not going to get 2 feet of snow because the groundhog didn't see the shadow. So, with that, have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Now the Councilman Screen.
Councilman Mazzo this evening is showing his extensive knowledge of the scientific version of the Farmer's Almanac.
Yes. All thanks to you, Councilman.
Yes, thanks to you. And of course, your awareness is welcome. Good evening, everyone. Just want to remind everybody that in the 1st District, we have our first neighborhood watch meeting coming up on Thursday, February 21st at 6 p.m. We're at St. Mike's, which is at 296 Clinton Street. Hope you'll come down and join us. Do want to thank, particularly in the 1st District, all of our residents in the ward along Front Street, Winding Way, Oak Street, especially Gaines, Spruce, Spring Forest, Cypress, and all of the side streets in the immediate area. We are currently right now underway of getting the area of, or the portion rather, forgive me, of Front Street that is near the intersection of Front and Prospect to get evened out. We were able to work with the original contractor to get that work updated and done. So I want to thank the mayor and the administration and all the department heads and corporation council as well for the work that I know went into that, following that up and making sure that is that's getting there. So the eye is on the prize, the light is at the end of the tunnel. Your patience is incredibly appreciated as we get this taken over to make sure that it's solidified for the rest of the winter. I really want to take a moment to thank our DPW. It was probably about 12:30 this morning, a little after midnight. I was up and I was upstairs in my bedroom, and I was actually answering constituent emails. My dog's downstairs and he starts barking like crazy, and I go downstairs and I see these flashing lights through the living room window, and I open the front door and I walk outside, and there are 4 DPW trucks and pickup trucks that on a night where there was no snow, and what were they doing in 40-something degree weather? Filling potholes in the middle of the winter, right? Pretty incredible. So I want to thank them for their service, Bernice for her leadership, and again, obviously that's an infrastructure issue that, as Councilman Monson mentioned earlier, we're always looking to push it and make better on as much as we possibly can. To the residents of the 1st District, there are also 3 street LED lamps that are out on Charles Street in between May Street and Field Street near the First Ward Park. I've spoken with a number of residents that live there locally. I want to thank them on Seymour for following up with me, as well as Bernice. It turns out there is no electrical power that is going to those 3 LED lights, so we've actually contacted NICEAG and we're working on that, and I'll follow up with developments on that. Speaking of things going on locally, something really, really cool. This Saturday at 6:30 p.m., this is something I don't really think we see around here a lot. Roberson Museum actually has a murder mystery dinner and theater going on, which I thought was pretty cool. So I'm actually going to that, and it's like 3 hours long, and it's a full dinner, and it's only $45. And I think if you're a member, it's $40. So it's pretty cool. So we're going to talk about stuff going on even in the middle of the winter. So that should be a lot of fun. To see you there. Christy Botsford, Sheriff Deputy Christy Botsford. We're so glad to hear that she's doing better. Obviously, with Police Awareness Week and Month coming up, our thoughts and our prayers are with her. We thank her and her family for her service, and we know that you're going to get better, and we're all there for you. And lastly, happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Councilman. And Councilman Livingston.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a couple of things this evening. So this is as much a message for my colleagues as for anybody else who's listening. So I walk and I ride the bus often throughout the city. And for folks who might walk infrequently or not at all, this may not be something that you've noticed, but the snow tends to pile up at the corners of our streets. And even if the homeowner is diligently clearing their sidewalk, often the city isn't clearing the streets tight to the corner, or rather tight to the curb, which makes the sidewalk impractical to use. That's why you tend to see a lot of folks walking in the streets. And basically what happens is there's a mountain of snow and ice that just piles up in the street. Homeowner typically doesn't go out into the street to shovel that out. And this problem persists until the snow melts, generally. I'd also like to encourage folks, given how much snowfall we typically have in a single storm, if you have a bus stop in front of your house, to consider shoveling a path across the utility strip from the sidewalk to the curb so that folks can easily make it to the bus. The other thing I'd like to talk about is there was a Safe Housing Task Force public hearing last night. It was very well attended. I also shot a video of it, which is up on YouTube. It's also on Facebook. I highly encourage folks to check it out because there were a lot of folks from the community there, and there were also a lot of service providers from the greater Binghamton area who came and spoke. It was a pretty lively conversation, but it never really got contentious or anything. And the thing that I wanted to highlight was, I guess my main takeaway was about the need for increased staffing at code enforcement, because at every municipality, this is an initiative that is happening at the county level in coordination with a lot of municipalities in the area. But at the end of the day, the county isn't responsible for code enforcement. Our municipalities are, and we need to really do everything that we can to ensure that families in Binghamton aren't regularly faced with a choice between affordability and safety. That was sort of the big takeaway from a lot of the stories that I heard there last night. So if you have some time, the first hour of the video is the public hearing portion. I'd encourage you to take a look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Adjourn.
Two things. So.
Oh, wait.
Okay.